They have morphed, and they're coming. They're not like defeated. They're just like morphing into something different. And they still have that one particular lust in life, and that is to come here and do as much damage as they can.
White House Chief of Staff General John Kelly warning that ISIS has not gone away, that they are morphing into other offshoots as new reports surface of another organization called White Flag in Iraq. Early intel is scarce on this group, but the group is raising concerns over their ideology, leaving some to wonder if it could be a type of ISIS successor. Here now to tell us what there is to know at this point is General Jack Keane, chairman of the Institute for the Study of War and Fox News senior strategic analyst. General, good to see you tonight.
Good to see you, Martha.
Lots to talk about, but first off, your thoughts on this group.
Well, they are a new organization. They have jihadist ideology, so they're just like all the other radical fundamentalist organizations out there, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. They have former ISIS members in it, and also, surprisingly, some Kurds. But right now, they haven't really began a terrorist attack campaign. So it's possible that they're more political than jihadist, but what remains to be seen. But for our audience understanding, while we have done a very good job in taking ISIS territory away from them in Syria and in Iraq, as General Kelly was pointing out, this organization is still very much alive. It is not defeated. Even in Iraq alone, there's several thousand ISIS fighters still there. They're mostly Iraqis. The foreigners are either been killed or they've gone home to Europe, Southeast Asia, Africa, and other places. ISIS is now a worldwide organization because it became an iconic organization. So they have spread around the world, and they're very dangerous.
Here's Michael McCall talking about just that and saying that they still have some designs, Al-Qaeda as well, on attacks on the homeland and on aviation. Listen to this.
The crown jewel is aviation, and they're still seeking to blow up airplanes, even though they may not be able to hijack it. That threat is very real.
Agree with that, General?
Yeah, that's absolutely true, particularly Al-Qaeda. The Al-Qaeda organization on the Arabian Peninsula operates in Yemen. You know, they have been working on plastic bombs for some time. Aviation, they see as a major strategic weapon. I think there'll always be offshoots of the radical Islamists who will want to attack Europe and attack the United States, and particularly the United States is its #1 strategic target.
Yep.
That's why we've got to have our antenna up in terms of what they're really doing.
I mean, you go back to the original bombing at the World Trade Center and the bombings at the embassies. They take several years off sometimes while they're planning, but their mission does not change and their goals don't change. I'd like you to listen to this general this is General Mike Scarapati of the European Command talking about Russian submarines.
Russia is carrying out a campaign of destabilization to change the international order, fracture NATO, and undermine U.S. leadership around the world. At sea, on land, and in the air, Russia's increasingly modernized military is operating at levels not seen since the Cold War.
Very strong words from the European commander. Do you think that the White House, because the White House is criticized for not taking the threat from Russia seriously enough?
No, I think the Trump administration is very clear-eyed when it comes to Russia. As a matter of fact, that general there is briefing me tomorrow on Russia in a classified briefing. But the reality is simply this, and here's where the Trump team deserves credit. In their national security strategy, they have identified this era of big power competition, and we're returning to it as we were in the Cold War. Certainly Russia's not on the scale of the Soviet Union, but here's what they are. They are very ambitious. They want to be a world power. They're increasing in their capability, and they're aggressive and dangerous. And we have got to have the stomach and the spine to confront them. I believe this administration does have that. It's going to increase in our military budget is something I know for a fact that has got the Russians' attention, because they see that similar to the Reagan buildup, and what happened as a result of the Reagan buildup, the Soviet Union collapsed. That was one of the factors in it, not certainly the only factor. But yes, our determination here, and particularly our will, Martha, is how you need to deal with the Russians, with the Chinese, and with the Iranians. It takes political and moral will to stand up and confront powers and don't fear the alternative. Don't fear escalation, that it could lead to something terrible. If that's what drives you, then you're like the Obama administration. You got your hands tied all the time, and your adversaries are taking advantage of you and your allies. So I believe this team is moving in the right direction.
All right. I want to ask you one other thing. These reports that North Korea has spent 7 years building an underground military base in Syria. It's one report. Do you think it has any credence?
It's only one report. I asked the Institute for the Study of War to take a look at it today. And their conclusion, as relayed to me, is that, you know, it's very possible, because when they analyzed it, the location is in a mountainous area, which would be ideal to build an underground facility. What the Assad regime is so concerned about is U.S. air power, and particularly Israeli air power, because when the Israelis see something forming, like a chemical site or a missile base, the Israelis attack it. They just took one down in September of 2017. And so an underground facility makes sense. North Koreans are absolute bona fide experts at that. They've got most of their artillery built into mountains. All their nuclear sites are underground. So they clearly know how to do that. Plus, they're helping them rather significantly with chemical weapons.
We'll see where that goes. General, thank you so much. Good to see you tonight, sir.
Yeah, good talking to you, Martha.